Early in the game, passenger missions were my reason to travel. Giving you plenty of credits to go somewhere interesting is the perfect first step on the path of the explorer. This video will cover shipbuilding, finding missions and completing them. Your priorities here include jump range, passenger comfort, passenger capacity and style. Depending on your preferences and what kind of missions you take, you'll have your own order of importance of these four. Regardless of your priorities, all these ships are good all-rounders for passenger missions. In addition, these 3 ships are designed by Saud Kruger specifically to be premium passenger transports. They have the advantage of being able to fit a luxury class passenger cabin, the highest grade in the galaxy, allowing you to host even the most aristocratic CEO or famous explorer. For that reason, I'd recommend picking up one of these ships if you want to make a dedicated luxury passenger transport. Whatever you pick will have a Coriolis link below. The only essential module for passenger missions is a passenger cabin. They come in different grades, which indicate how luxurious they are. In order of cheapest to most expensive, there's economy class, business class, first class, and luxury class that again you can only fit to Saud Kruger ships. A more luxurious cabin costs more and doesn't have as many seats, but lets you take more high-class clients. A low-class cabin is cheap and gives you a load of passenger space, but the more fancy passengers won't fly with you. If you fancy tinkering with the Coriolis build, keep this in mind and feel free to use this list of helpful modules as you build. Engineering is absolutely not required to enjoy passenger missions, but if you'd like to take your ship up a notch, these are some of the most beneficial choices. Again, this really isn't a necessity. Myself, I decided to build a Speedy, luxurious Orca. It's definitely not the best for credits since it's only got a few cabins, but pretty much all of them are luxury class. Add in a jump range of 55 light years and a 500 meters a second boost speed, and it becomes one of my most fun ships. If you're interested in my slightly non-standard build, I'll leave it as another link below. You can find passenger missions at any station you like, but many of the better ones require a good reputation with each faction in the station. You could do some other kinds of missions before you start to build up reputation, but I'd recommend starting with the passenger missions you can get and using them to increase your reputation, gradually unlocking better and better missions. To find what jobs are available, click Mission Board, then Passenger Lounge. From here you'll have the option to pick either group transport or personal transport. This video will focus on personal as it's more interesting and complex, but I'll quickly go over the group transport if that's what you fancy. You'll want to fly a large ship, like what you'd use for transporting cargo. Use low-grade cabins to fit the most passengers in. From here on, it's basically the same as a boom time delivery mission. Fill your cabins with passengers, then go to the station the mission mentions, and let them go. There's certainly decent money in these missions, but to me it's a little dull. So, back to the personal transport missions. These give you great pay early game, and let you explore all the interesting sites of the bubble. First of all, the missions that say transport so-and-so are basically fancy group missions, so they're pretty self-explanatory. The most unique, complex, and in my opinion rewarding are these sightseeing adventure missions. Find one that pays well or has an interesting sounding location. Click onto it, and before accepting it, click Galaxy Map. This will show you how far you'll have to travel as well as the direction. What this allows you to do is pick up multiple missions, all going in the same general direction. This means you can do a sort of tour of all the sites your passengers want to see, giving you a few more credits for each jump. Before you accept a mission, there's a few things to keep in mind. Each mission asks you to take a different kind of person, meaning there'll be different things they don't like, which you can see by clicking Passenger Profile. If you, for instance, take too much hull damage when your passenger doesn't like that, they could reduce your pay or refuse to give you any credits at all. It's important to note that even though it's called personal transport, it's usually more than one person. You can see how many passengers you'll need to take when you select Pick Cabin, then look at passengers awaiting boarding. Also, some missions ask you to go to several locations. These often have good pay, but can obviously take a little longer. With all this in mind, load up your cabins with the kind of passengers you want. Once you're ready to go, plot your routes and begin jumping to your nearest mission destination, shown by these blue markers in your galaxy map. Once you arrive, you now need to find the correct tourist beacon. If you happen to be within 1000 light seconds of it, you should see it highlighted in a contrasting colour on your navigation panel. This is where you need to go. If you happen to be further away, there should be a planet highlighted in a contrasting colour instead. Head towards that, then when you get within 1000 light seconds of it, target the tourist beacon that should by now be in range. Drop into the tourist location and target the beacon itself. Keep the nose of the ship pointed at the beacon, initiating an automatic scan. After a few seconds, you should get at least 2 messages. One from your passenger, which will tell you that they're happy to continue with the journey, and one from the beacon itself. This message will contain a paragraph or 2 explaining the significance of the location you're at. I love reading these as they give you some great insight into the lore of Elite. For instance, I never knew that Tau Ceti was the first human-populated system outside Sol. I think that's pretty cool. Given the hundreds and hundreds of beacons throughout the galaxy, there's always more to learn. Although your passengers are probably asking to go home, the real joy of passenger missions is exploring any interesting areas you find, so don't be put off from having a look around or getting some cool photos. One thing to note is that some tourist beacons are on a planet's surface. For some reason, I found that these ones aren't highlighted in a contrasting colour, so you might have to look for it manually. Check the Transactions tab for the name of the beacon, then scroll through the Navigation tab to find it. Oh, and some really demanding passengers might ask you to go somewhere specific or to get them a commodity. In my experience, it's best to always ignore these as they take far too long for their own good. Once you've visited all your mission locations, return to the starting station. Hit Mission Board, Passenger Lounge, then Completed Missions, then you can cash them all in. Note that these missions often have reputation or engineering material rewards, which might be worth it for you depending on your stage of game, so make sure to check your choices before picking the maximum credits option. As I said at the start, these missions were my entry into exploration, so I hope a few of you newer players give them a go and get started on that career path. While passenger missions are the most financially viable near the start of the game, I was surprised at how fun it was just to travel around and learn stuff about the galaxy, even as a fleet carrier owner. I reckon I'll be keeping my Orca around for a rainy day. Oh, and before anyone says it in the comments, yes, I know you can stack loads of passenger missions and do loops at Robigo mines, but if you've seen my channel before, you know how I feel about repetitive methods like that one. Once again, thanks so much for watching. Hold on to your space legs and don't forget your limpets. Until next time, it's goodbye from Commander Dituri.